Welcome to Analyst Talk with Jason Elder. It's like coffee with an analyst, or it could be whiskey with an analyst reading a spreadsheet, linking crime events, identifying a series, and getting the latest scoop on association news and training. So please don't be that analyst and join us as we define the law enforcement analysis profession one episode at a time.
How we doing, analysts? This is Jason Elder with another LEA podcast deep dive. Did you know with Mike Winslow? Mike, how we doing?
Good, man. How are you? I like that it rhymes. It was unintentional there.
That's right. I didn't realize that until right now too. Like, with Mike Winslow. Hey, see, we knew that all along. We're just playing.
It was meant to be.
Yeah. So this is a segment that Mike and I are going to talk about some oddball facts or items or skills that an analyst can use in their everyday tasks. And it'll be a series here where Mike, through his tactical analysis experience, has identified several things that might be little known or more light needs to be put on these tactics here. So, Mike, what's the did you know for today?
So the did you know for today that we're going to go with is, did you know that you can get the same kind of CDRs that you do for a phone from a lot of newer cars? So the way it works, we know that we have your three major carriers still, right? Your AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. AT&T actually has a lot of these kind of cornered on the market, but Verizon and T-Mobile are starting to kind of get in the game. Essentially, you request the CDRs a similar way that you would do to a phone. Each car, basically 2019 or newer, has the technology to be connected to the cellular network. Now, the super cool thing about this is the user does not have to be signed in or signed up for anything for the transmissions on the cellular network to be occurring. So they just driving the car around and it's communicating with the network. It's not all good news. There is a catch. Some of the cars, it's a little bit more tricky because there's not a phone number associated, right? They still have an IMEI, which is the identifier of the device that's in the car. Now, hopefully you luck out and you get one of the cars that all you have to do is send the VIN of the vehicle to the carrier and get your CDRs. But some of the other carriers, or vehicle manufacturers, I should say, don't like to play that game, and you have to actually get the IMEI from them. So it's going to take an additional warrant to the manufacturer to be able to get that IMEI. There are resources that are out there that have kind of a full breakdown list. I know Leads Online has one that's available. I have a bunch. If you want to contact me after this, I'll be happy to share what I have with it. It just gives a breakdown of which vehicle is what carrier, which models and years are included, and then which ones that you either, I only have to send in a VIN, or dang, I have to send in 2 sets of search warrants.
Yeah. Is that something we can publish? Maybe we could just put that on the website, and those that are interested can access it that way.
Absolutely. Right. Yeah, I can send you that, and then they can have that up and go. I would say it is one of those things that is going to be constantly changing. So if you do the sheet, I think the last one I got was from September of 2023. So if you send it off and they say, hey, we don't have that, it's possible that it either has changed carriers. I haven't seen it change yet in the terms of like the sending the VIN in or having to get the IMEI. But if they tell you that they can't do that, then that's probably what happens. So you may have to be a little flexible. But as far as it's gone, I've used it a few times successfully now, and it's worked out pretty well, actually.
So with the CDR in the car is what we're going to call it. Again, we're rhyming.
Which also rhymes.
Yes, the CDR in the car. What data is going to be available with that device?
So that's a great question. The main thing that we're going off of for this is going to be the geolocation data. If you have it on AT&T, which, like I said, a lot of these are still AT&T, the nice thing that AT&T has is they actually have, when you get those CDRs, 2 sets of location data. You have your timing advance data, which is using the network essentially to measure the location for where that device is. And then they have their traditional location report that they've always given you in the past. And the timing advance is a new one within the last year or two that they just started doing. So essentially, while that car is moving around, it's constantly communicating with the network, and you're able to almost pinpoint. We had a case where I was able to see right where the car got parked, because the nice thing about these records too is when you shut the car off, the records stop. So if you're trying to find where things are starting and stopping, that's another great tool to be able to try to nail down where you might be able to find those. I've had it line up pretty dang spot on with LPR license plate reader hits as well, to help kind of confirm and help validate, hey, this is tracking really well, because obviously those are fixed cameras that are at a specific spot, and you can dial that down pretty good if you really get in there and start crunching.
Well, that's kind of a way to measure the accuracy.
100%. Yep, it's a great way to do it. And then you can even, if you have, let's say, your traditional CDRs for a phone, even if it's a different carrier, it's a great way to help kind of show that. And I've always said in the past, when it comes to, obviously the phone records are great and they're awesome, but you got to layer it with other stuff. The true power and where you get that real hard to really say that it's not accurate is when you get that video, when you get that LPR, when you get something else that puts it right where you're saying, hey, the phone's showing it's here. Oh yeah, and this also puts you here too.
All right. So they're in the car, they turn it on, and as soon as they turn it on, it's connecting to the network. They're driving around, and at that point, in terms of the data, are you getting pings? Or are you getting updates? How far are they apart?
So it's a little bit different than pings. If you're doing pings, that's a set where the actual telephone company is sending that request out. So it's usually a 15-minute increment where they say, hey, where are you? And then the phone pings back and says, this latitude, longitude with this accuracy level or deviation. And then you get that in meters. It's usually like a radius, right? This is a little bit different in that when the phone is on the network, and any device, whether it's the car or the phone, is always looking for the best connection, even if you're not using it. If it's on and it's on the cellular network, it is constantly trying to find that. So essentially, this data is from that. So it's constantly going. It can be super chatty and can be a lot of data depending on how much you get. So hopefully you have a good computer with a great processor and graphics card if you're mapping this out, because it's literally running the whole time. So it's not even a 15-minute, like you can watch this thing move, we're talking every few seconds. It's constantly going. It really depends on the device itself, but the timing advanced data is constantly running while that car would be on at that point.
All right. And is there a way for the owner of the vehicle, or maybe if it was a car rental, is there a way for the driver to shut this off?
To my knowledge, there's no way that they could go in and actually disable that feature. So it's something it's internal inside the car. So it's not like, and they don't even have to connect their phone to it. We're talking, this is a totally separate thing. It's not, it has nothing to do. They could leave their phone at home and try to be smart and go drive off in the car and still give us the same data, pretty close at least, until the car comes off, but you could get the same kind of thing.
All right. So no, I mean, well, it sounds like you have too much data there, where you have every second you're getting data, and you can certainly see the application in terms of beginning time and beginning location to ending time and ending location. Is there other data that you've seen from this that might be intriguing? Something that maybe other than a date and time?
So mainly it's come off of that, and then being able to, again, if you should at that point know, since you have the VIN of the vehicle, what kind of car you're dealing with. But you never know in terms of video, especially with like flock cameras, like the cameras on those are insanely clear. You could potentially get occupants. I've been able to see clothing sometimes. In Arizona, at least, we only have a rear facing license plate. We don't have the one in the front. But now that that's come along, I almost wish we did have the front and they had cameras there, because the cameras are so good that you could easily run like facial recognition off of some of those if you got front shots, which we don't. I don't know if other areas do the 2-plate thing, but Arizona, we always do stuff a little bit different, right? We don't follow the daytime savings daylight savings thing. We kind of do our own thing. So we do that too with the license plates.
So wait a minute, where is the camera? Are you still talking about the CDR inside the car is
No,
recording the picture, or?
no, that was from like LPR camera, like license plate reader.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Sorry,
yeah.
I lost. You lost me there. Lost me there.
Whoops.
Sorry about that. I was like, wow, is that? I was like, that's where the CDR is producing
Yeah.
this image and of the back of the camera. I thought you were talking about the camera that was like back of license plates or something.
No,
On the
no.
back of
Yeah.
vehicles, like the reverse camera or whatever
Camera
it
on your
is.
phone.
No,
Yeah,
the camera on the car itself when you reverse how it shows.
oh yeah, like okay, yeah.
That's what I thought you were talking about. That's what I
Oh
thought you were
no,
referencing. So
man,
okay.
that would be some crazy like invasion of privacy, wouldn't it? Like,
Yeah, so that's what I was like. I was like, whoa! So no one's fought that. I was like, man, that's a lot. So okay. So then you mentioned it before. This is something where this isn't just something that an analyst can just call up and get. There's going to need to be a search warrant, and you might have to do multiple if you can't get the correct information just using the VIN. And so that's obviously this is a search warrant situation.
yes, yeah, that you're gonna follow the same exact steps that you would do if you were doing this with a phone. Instead of, you could use a phone number and the search warrant when you're sending that to the telephone company. Again, in this case, it's going to be either the VIN of the vehicle or the IMEI if you already were able to get that. But and you could even use the same verbiage that you use with your phone warrants. And because you're going to still be sending it to a telco, right? It's either going to be AT&T, T-Mobile, or Verizon. But yes, it is going to be the same. It's not something that we can just get right away. And then really it's 2019 and newer is the real part that it works.
Is there any make and model that's like the exception to the rule there, or is this across the board? Every new vehicle has this feature.
It's pretty much anything from 2019 on will have some type of feature like that. In fact, if you have one of those cars, when you go in and turn it on next time, even if you disconnect your phone, you'll notice somewhere on your screen that you have that there's probably the little bars that you see on your phone. That's actually the car that's connected at that point and not your phone. Yeah. So it's one of those things. That's kind of the date that I've heard from different trainings and stuff. I know that there are some that probably have started a little bit later. There's even some that go back a little bit earlier. They would have been on the probably like older technology. And as far as I know, the retention times are going to be fairly similar. So even if it was something that was from years back, you're probably not going to be able to get anything on that anyway at this point.
Yeah. And so I would think there's certain situations there where obviously if you have a target, you're somebody that you're investigating, you can pick up their VIN off their vehicle. But in situations where you're dealing with a car rental in a short period of time, that could be maybe a little bit more challenging, I would think. There's some other maybe growing pains that maybe analysts should be aware of as they're trying to, if they ever need to go through this process and obtain this data.
Yeah, actually, you kind of hit it on the head there. The car rental thing is definitely the one that you gotta kind of keep in mind when it comes to just who's occupying the car, right? It's easier to show if you have a car that's registered to somebody that they're the registered owner, likely the person that's probably driving the car. If you have something else to prove that. With the rental cars, I could see potential hurdles, especially with judges granting certain amounts of time to make sure that it was during the rental period. The good news in that case would be you would already likely be going to, let's say, Hertz or Avis or Enterprise, any of those ones, and already getting the info, because when you run that plate, it would come back to one of them. So you're already going to be going down that rabbit hole anyway to see who rented the car. And when you do that, you will get the length of time that they had it. And so I would suggest, just to make it a little bit easier, is just get the time frame that they rented it. Then that way there's not a question of another owner. Sure, somebody else could have been driving that they lent it out to, but then that way at least you're requesting the time that they're telling you that this individual or whoever it was rented it.
Very good. All right. Anything else for the good of the order?
I think that's about it. As usual, if you guys have any questions on these or you have any examples or things you want to run by, feel free to reach out. And then, like we talked about, we'll make this available for people to go and grab, so they have a good reference sheet for the next time that they use this. And if you have something cool that you get from it, let me know too, because I always like to see those cool success stories when we put this stuff out.
Is there a preferred way to contact you?
Probably email's the easiest, is mwinslow@scottsdaleaz.gov.
Okay.
That's my work email, and usually on there probably too much. So
and and we'll put links to additional information in the show notes along with that email address. And as always, if you have suggestions for this show or any of the other LEA podcast shows, you can email me at leapodcasts@gmail.com. All right, Mike, before you get out of here, my family on next Thursday, the 25th, is Deadpool Day.
Oh, yeah.
So we are
pumped.
gearing up. Yes. Both you and I have chatted over the last couple of months. I am really trying hard not to get spoiled. I want to go in as cold as possible.
After talking to you about that, I have also done my part to try to stay off of everything there is about seeing any type of spoiler. So I've only seen, I think, the initial trailer, but today, and I won't ruin this for you by telling you any of it, but I did see the track list for the soundtrack, and that made me even more pumped for this. It is epic. Like, it is going to be so good. I cannot wait.
Yeah. I think the soundtracks is something that I think more movies can do a better job of. It seems like they did a really good job there a period of time, but it seems like recently, the last couple of years,
they've been starting to step that game up.
The soundtracks have kind of fell by the wayside, in my opinion. But
well, and I mean, Deadpool especially, they've always done good. I mean, they got Celine Dion to sing the opening track for the second one. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah. So, all right. So if those that don't know what we're talking about, Deadpool and Wolverine, the Marvel Cinematic Universe movie, is coming out next week, and we are certainly pumped to do that. And in Mike's interview that I did for Analyst Talk, we actually did a post-credit scene interview. So,
and if the people want it for this one after we watch it, I'm totally down.
Yeah, well, I mean, man, as I said, we're gonna carve out time, because I definitely want to talk to you about it. So definitely looking forward to it. Thank you so much, Mike. Appreciate the time, and you take care.
Thanks, man. You too.
Thank you for making it to the end of another episode of Analyst Talk with Jason Elder. You can show your support by sharing this and other episodes found on our website at www.leapodcasts.com. If you have a topic you would like us to cover or have a suggestion for our next guest, please send us an email at leapodcasts@gmail.com. Till next time, analysts, keep talking.